Awesome. Okay, guys, well, I'm Liz. I'm going to be moderating the panel today. I see you guys have already lined up to ask your questions, which is awesome. Let's try to keep it one question per person so every fan has a chance to ask a question. We won't make you wait any longer. Let's give the biggest applause for our guest, James Marsters!
Hello, beautiful people. Wow, you guys have shining faces for Sunday night, so you didn't go out to the after party.
Cover up, lots of cover up.
There we go.
So have you been having a good time?
Fabulous.
You gamed, right? Didn't you do some gaming?
Yeah, that wasn't part of the best time that I've had. So bad. But there was somebody that let me beat her. Is she here? Wherever you are, thank you.
Was it Street Fighter?
Horrible. Yeah, I don't play those games, man. I'm a shooter.
Yeah.
Or a racer, but I don't kung fu on that.
It's a lot of like, isn't it like you have to figure out like up, down?
Yeah, circle, round, circle back.
Too much.
I just want to say, you guys can ask me anything that you want. Try to embarrass me, I dare you. Give me your worst. It doesn't work, I'm shameless, apparently. I don't feel embarrassed, so I don't promise to answer anything you sickos ask. But you can try, and most things I'll have no problem answering, so I think it's more interesting that way.
Challenge accepted. All right, let's get started.
All right, so at the end of Buffy, did you know that they were bringing you back for the last season of Angel? And was it planned for you to just steal the whole season?
Yes, Joss knew that he wanted to bring me over to Angel before he killed me off on Buffy. He was so angry because Buffy was on a different network than Angel at that time, so he couldn't control the WB, and he didn't want anyone to know that I wasn't really dead. But the WB announced me on Angel before he had a chance to kill me off on Buffy. He was so mad about it.
Oh, because that was a pretty big reveal when he came on Angel. It was like, we were still super excited, so it worked out, obviously.
Yeah, and I was actually the new Cordelia on Angel. That was, seriously, they needed a new one. And that's why I got to be a regular on Buffy, is because they needed a new Cordelia, because Cordelia went over to Angel. And Buffy needed that character to say, Buffy, you're stupid, we're all gonna die. and that's why they put me in. And then they lost Cordelia on Angel, they needed another Cordelia. So they put me in there again. So I've been following Cordelia all my life.
When you were on Smallville,
Yeah.
did you have like any hilarious moment like off scene?
Oh, I'm so boring. Between takes, I'm sorry. No. I love acting so much that the only thing I do, they say cut, I make sure I'm on my mark, I go to my chair, and I study my lines. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
The one thing I can tell you is they were trying to get Michael Rosenbaum and I to admit that we hated each other back, because they were trying to get this competition between who's gonna win, Brainiac or Lex Luthor. And that was the press they were trying to goose us to say mean things about each other, and they couldn't do it because we actually just thought each other were really cool people. So,
Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome.
So I know you do music, so I was wondering if you could tell us anything about Ghost of the Robot and when we might see you, concerts, anything.
Yeah, we're playing with Nerf Herder in about 2 weeks in Santa Barbara, if anyone wants to buy a ticket for that. We can only really do extended tours in the summertime because one of us is in college. So last summer it was Europe. Last summer it was Marseille, France, Rome, and Barcelona, and the summer before that it was Scotland, London, Paris, and Berlin. Before that we hit the States. So this summer we're hitting the States again, but it's a West Coast tour. So we're going from Los Angeles and come get a bus, come on out. And then we're in the studio now. We're doing our next album. We have a problem, which is that we have too many songs. And we figured instead of fighting with each other about who gets to be on the album, we'll just make a double album. So we're gonna do that.
Well, you're welcome here anytime. Thanks.
Right on. Yeah. I'd love to.
Hello, Spock. Found my ears.
Yes. You have one. Do you have both of yours?
Yeah.
Yes.
It was in my pocket.
Okay.
I love comics. What was your favorite role to do, like, ever?
Ever?
Yeah.
No, I don't know, man. I think probably, in hindsight, Spike. Yeah. I mean, I've had so many good roles. They've all been really fun on some level, but Spike terrified me. Like, when you do a movie or a play, you get to choose before you do it if you want to do it. And sometimes you decide, like, I don't want to put myself through that, or I don't want to show that part of myself yet, or ever. And so you can say no. When you do a TV series, once you do the pilot, you pretty much know what that journey is going to be, because most television series, it's the same journey every week. It's basically the same thing, which is why a lot of television kind of sucks. So, well, no, you mean not good stuff. Anyway, when you work for Joss Whedon, you just have no idea what he's asking you to do, and you're contracted to do it. So at some point, I realized I had to do whatever he said to do to whoever he said to do it, wear or not wear, whatever he told me to do. And I got terrified, and it got to be hard to read that script. It was like, God, what am I gonna do? But, I mean, in hindsight, artistically, that's exactly where you want to be. You don't want to be safe, artistically. You want to be challenged. You want to be out of your comfort zone. You want to be terrified. And so I would pick that. Although at the time, I wouldn't have picked that at all. Yeah, you're welcome.
For the musical episode, weren't you guys like freaked out about it? Like not down for it? Like
No.
This isn't gonna work?
No, we thought Joss had lost his mind. We really did. The problem was is that he gave us a recording of him singing the song. They just weren't good. And it doesn't matter how good the writing is if performance isn't good, then it doesn't sort of like, even Shakespeare, like the worst thing in the world is badly performed Shakespeare. That's, for me, the most painful thing in the world. So Shakespeare's the best author ever, but he can't survive bad acting. So Joss ruined his own material. And yeah, like Tony Head and I we were comfortable singing publicly because we were already doing it, you know, on the side. But the rest of the cast had a really good point, and they went to Joss and they said, you know, you hired me to be a one-camera dramatic / comedic actor. That's my wheelhouse. That's what I do. And now you're asking me to do a whole different thing in front of everyone that, you know, it's my career, the fans and everybody. And you're going to destroy me. And you're going to destroy a perfectly good show. Why are you doing that? And he's like, because it would be fun. Yeah, so he knew this, and he wheeled out. The first scene that we filmed was the Xander dance with Anya. And he cut a rough cut of that and put the music behind it and then showed it to us and said, you know, by the way, this is going to be awesome. And then we learned he's more of a genius than we thought.
There you go.
I just want to say I'm a huge fan. I absolutely love you. I think you're awesome. And I wanted to, before I ask my question, just like thank you for still, like after all these years coming out and doing this fan stuff and meeting all of us. We really appreciate it.
I'm a fanboy. I just saw a dude dressed as a whoopee cushion out there. I love this. This is awesome.
And then
Like, I'm a punk rocker. This is home.
I'm a huge Buffy fan, so I wanted to thank you for playing Spike because I really don't think he would have been the same character unless you played him. And I think he would have, I read somewhere that Spike was only meant to last 4 or 5 episodes, and I really don't think he would have lasted if you didn't play him. So,
Wow.
I want to thank you for that. My question was with Spike, I know they say a lot of times actors put a little of themselves into the character. I was wondering if you did that with Spike, and then in turn, since you played him for such a long time, if a little bit of Spike kind of got into you at all.
Yeah, you know, I mean, the truth is that every character I've played is me. Early on, I read a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson. He was a philosopher a little while ago. He said, "Within all men are all men." And if he was born now, he would say within all people are all people, but he was born a long time ago. So. But that really kind of opens up acting. Because the truth is there's a lot more facets to my personality than I've explored. There's a lot more potential for facets than I even know about. And so it's possible to imagine yourself in different circumstances and kind of explore crannies of yourself that you didn't know about. Spike is the part of me that I don't show people. Like that's really real. Like that, the Spike in me is first of all not funny. He's a jerk, and that's the James that wakes up in the morning before coffee, and that's the James that I am continually apologizing for to my family. So you combine that with Joss's humor, and then you get Spike. But all of that, I hate to tell you guys, that's actually down in there. But that's you grow up and you learn not to share that part all the time. I'm out for a walk.
Hi.
Hello.
I was wondering if you kept anything from, the set of Buffy or anything. Usually people keep their costumes.
Yeah, I used to have a theater company in Chicago and Seattle, and one of my least favorite things was actors who ripped me off. And that drove me insane. So the costume department said, look, if you want to take the coat, we won't tell anybody. And I had my nose in the air, and I was like, no, man, I'm not going to rip off the people who've been so good to me. No. And then I found out that 20th Century Fox sold the coat for $250,000 3 days later. Wow. And I was like, I'm the biggest idiot. I've got 2 kids. They're going to go to college.
You have good karma on your side, though.
Yeah, I'm fine.
That's good vibes.
Turns out. But there was one piece that I took back, but it was mine to begin with, and it was the T-shirt that I auditioned in. It was just a black T-shirt. I was really poor before I was working for Joss Whedon. I was a theater actor, and I had a really successful career, but there's really no money in theater at all. So all of my clothes were just tappers. And I had this black T-shirt that was like a lot of other T-shirts I had, where, you guys know, old T-shirts where all the cotton has long since fallen out, and it's just the polyester blend that is left, And I auditioned in that because he's kind of a ratty punk rock character, and they loved that. And they told me like, God, James, we love that T-shirt. We just can't find a double for it. We've searched all over LA and we can't find anything that messed up. And I said, well, why don't you use that shirt? And they're like, well, we can't double it. So if anything happens to it, then then we can't keep filming, because in costumes you have to have 2 of everything. In case something happens to what you're wearing, you can switch out quickly and you keep filming. So they decided to use that for a season and a half, and what had become just this old T-shirt that was on the floor most of my life became like the shroud of touring. Like, here's the because they couldn't replace it. Here's the T-shirt, be careful. And that was a laugh. But I mean, I took that back. I was like, the one thing I want, can I have my T-shirt back?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Was the hair, how did they come up with the hair?
I was supposed to be the Sid Vicious of the vampire set. That's what Joss said. And my response to Joss was, no, you don't want Sid Vicious. Here's Sid Vicious, Joss. I saw a documentary. Girls like me because I've got a nice face and a beautiful figure. Sid was a moron. Like, he didn't play on the album. He ruined the tour that they went on.
Yeah.
He was beautiful, but he couldn't play music. And it's a band. So,
Right.
You need like a musician for that. So I'm sorry to offend any Sid Vicious fans, but so I said, Joss, you want Johnny Rotten. That's the guy that you're thinking of when you say that, right?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, probably. He said, look, I don't care, just punk rock, okay?
Yeah.
And so because we were going for that, they tried putting my hair jet black, because in punk rock there's only jet black and bleach blonde. That's it.
Yeah.
All the purple and green stuff, that's actually glam rock, which is cool,
Right.
but it's a different thing. So
Okay.
they tried black, and it didn't look very good. It just didn't really pop or anything. So the hairdressers just went, "Oh, James, I'm sorry."
Tried,
We're gonna have to
but
bleach you now.
Yeah.
And
you
so
pulled it off.
Yeah, we had
That's
2 days to go, so they bleached me one day, and it didn't go all the way white, so they had to bleach me immediately the next day. Which who knows about bleaching hair?
Did your hair fall out?
Oh my God, it hurts so bad. Yeah. No, my hair was fine. My scalp didn't do so well.
Isn't that the thing? Like it actually it
burns you like you would not believe. Like if you see a bleach blonde, that's bad.
Like, they're committed.
Yeah. And we did it every 8 days because a vampire's hair. He's dead, so his vampire. The hair doesn't grow, so you can't have roots. So every 8 days. And on the bottle it says only do this every 6 weeks because otherwise you get cancer.
Just like marking that out. No.
Yeah. No, they kept saying we don't know if you'll have hair. It's like I'll buy a wig, Spain.
Yes.
This is real.
Hi, first I wanted to say I bought the audiobook of the Dresden Files, and I really love your whole voicing of it. Like the characters are amazing, and you do such a great job, probably because of the acting. But that's not actually my question. I just wanted to tell you that it's amazing.
I use my acting on.
Well, I just
People have died from my acting.
people that are actors don't read audiobooks quite as well. But
Right on.
my question was, I really enjoyed your episode of Supernatural, and I wondered if you had any stories from being on that set.
Yeah, I did. First of all, those guys, the 2 leads, are some of the nicest people in the world. They are completely unaffected by the fame that they're enjoying, which is almost impossible. Like, even a good person, when they get famous, goes insane for about 2 years. I did, it happens, and then you figure it out, and you come back to earth, and it all becomes good again. But they never went there. They're just 2 normal guys. They're great to their fans. They played a prank on me. I was told that if they like you, they'll prank you at some point, and we only had 1 scene together. So we were doing the scene, and how many kids are in the audience? Okay, so we got to make this right. Okay, so I'm doing my close-up, and Jared, and they're standing right there, and we're on me, and it's about it's right on the face, and I feel like a little bobbling in between my legs, and I look down, and Jared's got his shoe off, and he's like, the camera can't see his face. He's like, keep talking. And so I finished. Now the director is watching the monitor in another room, so he has no idea what's going on. So I finished the take, and we hear from the director, cut, print, let's move on. At which point, they both went, dude!
That's amazing, thank you.
Hi, I read somewhere online that if Firefly had continued, you were going to do a cameo with Spike sitting in a bar, saying that nothing ever changes. Is that true?
I heard the same thing at the same time. I remember Joss wanted me to tour the set, and he wanted me to meet the cast. And I thought, I don't get I love sci-fi, man. I'm a Star Trek fan, cool. And so I met everybody, and everybody was great. And then I went home. But I suspect he was testing to see if I could fit in the sets or something. I don't know. But yeah, I always thought it was weird that he took me on a tour of the set and had me meet the cast, and I think maybe that was why. Yeah, and then it never materialized. I wrote a character for him, by the way, on that show. He called me, we were talking, and he was frustrated because he wanted to play a small role in the series. But the network was blanching at that because they didn't appreciate that he was actually a good actor. But I saw his Hamlet in his home, and he's actually a really good actor. And I was like, Joss, man, if you want to do a role on your own show, take it. But don't do a little role. Do a good role. Like I'll think of something. He's like, yeah. And so I took like 3 days, and I came back to him. I was all excited. I was like, okay, this is your role. Thelonious 183. This is the name of the guy. the ship finds like a ship tumbling through space. It's got no power, and they rescue this one guy on the ship, and he's like a nebbishy guy. He's got awkward hair, and no one takes him seriously. His name is StLouis 183, and he gets picked on and everything. And one day in the lunchroom, he's getting picked on again, and in a flash, the guy who's picking on him is flying through the room. Tables are overturned. The guy's arm is broken, and no one. It happens so fast, no one really knows what happened. But they think it might have been Thelonious. They asked him about it, and he's like, "No, I don't know. I was horrified." He's like Woody Allen, like, I soiled myself. I don't know. But they find out after a while that it is in fact Thelonious, and they find out that he comes from a planet that when you come of age, you have to go through a fire walk, and most people die. A fire walk is a Native American thing where you have to prove yourself through cunning, bravery, and strength. And starvation, basically, and most people die of this. But if you complete your firewalk, you take your parents' number and you add 1. So if I'm James 10, that means for 10 generations, they passed the firewalk, and that gives me a lot of respect in the culture. He's Thelonious 183, so he's the biggest badass of the whole planet, and he is there to destroy them because they are affecting his culture and his planet in a way that he cannot abide. And he said, "I'm so sorry I have to do this. You seem like nice people, but everybody is dead." And he's absolutely able to do it, and he's the villain of the season. And Joss is like, "That is really good, dude. Like, you do know I rip people off, right?" And I was like, "It's not ripping you off if it's a gift." So, but it got canceled. So.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was wondering if there was like any aspect of Spike's character that we didn't get to see a lot of that you really liked and wanted them to expand upon.
Oh my God, I can't think of a thing, man. I was just trying to keep up. You know, it was going such radically different places all the time. I was just trying to keep up with the writing. Wow. I cannot imagine. I mean, like that journey was so much more varied than anything I would have thought of. Like, I would have thought that Spike was a big bad before he was a vampire. People would ask me that. I was like, yeah, Jesus, he's a big bad all the time. I didn't know that he was just a poet. So yeah, Joss's brain is much more twisted than mine. So I couldn't add anything to that, to tell you the truth. Yeah, I've never even tried. Yeah.
As fans, I think we felt like, sometimes when you watch shows and you're like, oh, they didn't give that character, like, I don't feel like it was fulfilled, like the journey had been fulfilled. Spike's journey really, really was fulfilled.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
he went all over the place.
Yeah. I mean, the show was about Buffy, so they did my journey was like in haiku. Mine was done with 1 or 2 scenes an episode.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really good writing, so it was a huge journey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, hi.
Hi.
I'm a really big Buffy fan, and it's really exciting to get to talk to you. My dad, my boyfriend, and I are like huge fans, and my dad wasn't able to make it here today, so I have a question from him.
Yeah.
Also, Buffy's like the reason I was able to con him and get Netflix for the family. He's binge watched all 7 seasons, so really big deal. It's so awesome to talk to you.
Because Daredevil was really good too. So
yeah, I've been told I have to check that out by my dad.
Well, it's all written by Buffy writers, by the way.
Is it really? That's fantastic.
The whole idea was Drew Goddard, who was a Buffy writer. He's now up for an Academy Award for a different project. And then he got Steve DeKnight to team with him to do Daredevil in the beginning. And then Drew left, and Steve took it over. Then Steve DeKnight is now over at Marvel doing Joss's old job at Marvel, basically kind of heading the whole thing. And so they got Doug Petrie to come in on this season, and they're all Buffy. It's a Buffy show, basically.
Okay, so I have to check it out now because I was just told by James Marsters, so I absolutely will. Okay, so I hope this wasn't already asked because I was trying to keep the question for my dad.
Okay.
I called him right before coming up here. He wanted to know that since Buffy and Angel definitely had some very dark thematic elements, and Spike himself is a very dark character at times with kind of like this, witty sense of humor, very sarcastic and kind of at times lighthearted, and also had that background as a poet. How did you as an actor just kind of balance that, that I guess that personality, that lightheartedness to such a dark element character and show?
Wow, good question. I mean, like for me, playing Spike was all about isolation. So I basically isolated myself from the cast and from humanity the entire time that I was filming that. It was about loneliness. It wasn't about being in connection with other people. It was about hunger, you know, psychological hunger, physical hunger, sexual hunger, all of that. And it didn't really put me in the right frame of mind to be hanging out with people like, hey, how you doing today? How's your dog? And stuff like that. So it was kind of a lonely experience. But like I said, you know, that part of me, like as a human being, when I'm in pain, I tend to isolate anyway. Like I don't really ask for help much. My wife complains about this all the time. I tend to isolate. And so when you combine that part of me with Joss's humor, that's how you get the lightness. Like the lightness didn't come from me as a person. I have lightness, but that's not the Spike in me. The lightness had to come from the writers.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you so much, James.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hi.
Hello. Are you
okay.
Rosie the Riveter?
I am Rosie the Riveter.
Yes!
Thank you. Okay. You said I could ask any question.
Anything.
And now I have to. I'm going to keep this as PG as possible because I'm aware that there are children in the room.
Yes. We can talk about anything, but we have to use the right words for it. Yeah.
Yes. What might be your favorite position that is sexual in nature?
You asked for weird.
You think it's weird? Oh, that's just
Personal.
it's a natural thing, man. We all do that. It's okay.
You can guess what Spike's might have been.
I like. I will never just stick with one in a session. You know what I mean? Like, I like to switch it up. Like, different ones are good for different. Like, some have a good fulcrum. You know. Some have good. We're talking about. I'm trying to use the right words here. Some have good fulcrum. Some have good position, friction, and some have good connection. You know, and they all have different. You know, but you got to switch it up so you have them all in one session. Nice try.
Hi.
Hey,
Would
man.
you ever do your supernatural role if they offered it to you?
I would do that in a second. I would love to go back on Supernatural. They haven't killed me off, so there's hope.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. It's
Yeah.
been a few years.
Yeah, and I would love to act with Charisma Carpenter again. She's a great actor. People don't understand how good she is. Like, she's actually a nice person. And like, she fooled me when we were filming Buffy. I really thought she was her character, and I was like, I am not going to talk to her.
She's the worst.
Yeah, exactly. And plus, so I never got to know Charisma at all. I never really talked with her at all. And also, like her character was always running away from me whenever we did film together. So our chairs were on the opposite sides of the soundstage anyway. But I never sought her out. And filming that episode of Supernatural, one of the gifts was that I realized she was a good person. But she's a great actor. I mean, I think that I play really well off her. So yeah, I do it in a heartbeat. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
She also doesn't age. So
No,
next time you
it's
talk
not
to her,
even
like,
fair.
it's just,
Not even
yeah.
fair. God.
Hi,
Hey.
my question is, Once More with Feeling, that's my favorite episode, and you said it terrified the cast, but you were fine with it, you were okay with singing.
I was
and
fine with
everything.
singing, just not those songs.
Yes.
Like just
So my question is, what are some scenes that terrified you? What was challenging for you? Spike had such a diverse character. What
So
terrified you?
much,
What
geez.
stands out the most?
I think playing William the Bloody, the William the poet, that felt really vulnerable. Because the thing is, I am a nerd. I'm a Star Trek fan. I started coming to conventions when I was 13 years old, pointed ears and a big blonde afro, I am I'm probably more William the poet than I am Spike in real life. I'm a goofball. So I was really enjoying being perceived as a badass. And I didn't want Joss to strip that away. And when he exposed me as this ultimate poser, Spike actually is the biggest poser in the universe. He's getting away with it because he's a vampire. That's the joke, And so But I decided that I was going to get in the corner of the poet and get people to love him and protect him and kind of be his protector. But that was a very vulnerable scene to shoot, and I was so happy that the actress that shot it with me, who, you know, the character was so mean to me, but the actress was so supportive, and she knew the show. She was a Broadway actor, and she was just fabulous. So she helped a lot. Lighting myself on fire was vulnerable in a different way. Doing the scenes where I was only wearing a sock was really horrible. Like, everyone has that nightmare where you show up to work and everyone else has clothes and you don't, right? I lived that. For real. And it's not just a nightmare that lasts for 5 minutes, it's like 18 hours. Oh, so many things. It just goes on and on and on and on and on. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Did you feel a lot of pressure when the Buffy romance, when you read about that, were you just like, oh, I don't know if this is going to work? Or were you like, I trust Joss? Because that was, you know, with the Buffy Angel fans, and Angel left, and that was kind of like her epic love. But I think, I mean, fans correct me if I'm wrong, but I loved you guys together. I thought it would be what she needed. It was what she needed at the time because she's the main character or whatever, but it was so pivotal to your character too.
By that time I was like, whatever you want, Joss.
Yeah.
Whatever. But I mean, like, I thought, when I first got on the show as a regular, the problem was, how do you stop Spike from trying to kill Buffy? Because obviously he can't kill Buffy. And if he keeps trying and failing, he becomes a pathetic character pretty quick. So we got to figure out how to stop that from happening. And my idea was that Spike would fall in love with Buffy, but of course she would never reciprocate because she's a good person, he's a bad person. But he could try to be good to impress her and fail miserably every time. Right. You know, like fail to comedic effect or fail to horrific effect, or fail in different ways, but that would be kind of the trajectory. And I remember at the end of the season with Riley, I went up to Joss and I was like, you know, Joss, if you want me to take my shirt off like you did with Mark Balukas, can you just warn me first? Because, you know, I don't want to go Riley. You know, I want to be like, I want to give you a really good image. So if you give me a couple months, I'll get there for you.
We'll do the sit-ups.
Well, you know, looking good with your shirt on is possible pretty easily, but shirt off for camera, you have to be like zero body fat. Yeah. So it takes work. So he goes, oh, good. I'm glad. I'll warn you right now. You have the summer to get ready because next summer you and Buffy are going to be, you know. He said, you and Buffy are going to fall. No, he said, you and Buffy are going to become next season you're going to fall in love with Buffy. And I said, oh, I've been thinking this the whole time. Of course. But of course she never reciprocates. And he's like, no, you'll be having sex. Yeah. And he just walks off. And I'm like, okay. I don't see that in any way. You know, but then of course it makes it work because she went to heaven, she got dragged back to the earth, and she needs to feel alive, and it all worked great. But yeah, at that point I'd stopped with the question.
Fair. And my question is, do you have any plans for new audiobooks, and would you ever be interested in doing the Iron Druid Chronicles?
The which?
The Iron Druid Chronicles.
Oh.
They're a very similar series to the Dresden Files. And
I love doing audiobooks. I did a 3-book story called Vampire Empire, which was up for the Audi Award, which is Best Audiobook of the Year, and I lost. And, but the lead character was a woman, and so that was a little bit of a challenge, and it came off very well. I did another 3-book series whose name escapes me right now. So I've done other audiobooks, and if asked, would love to, as long as it's a good book. So yeah, call my agent.
Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Hi. I had another Dresden question.
Yeah.
I was wondering how you got involved in that whole project, and what is the process like? How did they contact you?
Yeah, I mean, like, I have no idea. Jim Butcher, who's the author of those, they asked him, who do you want to read? And he said, James Marsters. I have no idea. He must be like a Buffy fan or something. But I had never done it before. I thought it would be a cakewalk. I was like, you're gonna pay me that much money to sit in a chair and read a book? Sure. And then I get in there and I realize, it's really, really hard. Really hard. Because every sound has to be perfect. And you have to read a book that you only read once. And you just keep going. And you have to read it like you care. And you start to get into it. And it's like, James, that S was a bit sloppy. Can you go back for that? Thank you. Okay. And then he sat down. That was, and they interrupt you constantly. And it gets frustrating. And you want to rip the microphone out. And I remember when they were surprised that I came back for lunch. Like, they said most TV or stage actors that have never done this before, and they get as frustrated as you did before lunch, they just disappear. I'm proud of you. You came back, and so I've gotten better at it as the years have gone by, and now they call me the machine. And I get the director tired. He's like, "Do you want to take a break?" No, let's go. Come on. I'll make the director cry sometimes. That's what yeah. I get to the end of a chapter and I look up and it's like, just a minute. Yeah, so I love it.
Right on. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
What character do you not like the least? Like you do? Like what was your least favorite character to do?
Oh, wow. Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy, man. I don't like to do. I can't really talk about this in a polite way. Does everyone know who Ted Bundy is? Okay, so that kind of thing, in any form, and even that scene that we did in Buffy, with that kind of thing going on, that was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. That was horrible. It was the worst day of my professional career on Buffy. And so when they called for Ted Bundy, I was like, no way am I going to go there. I don't want to psychologically put myself into the shoes of a character like that. I don't want to give that. I don't want to experience that in a way. But it was being written by a guy that I'd worked with previously who wrote Agnes of God, which he won Best Play. It was a Tony Award-winning play on Broadway. John Peelmeyer. And we worked together on an original play in Seattle together, and he was a really great guy, like really good heart. And I knew that if he was doing something with Ted Bundy, it was going to be done right, and he needed, it wasn't going to be a celebration of Ted or anything. And so I just said to John, I said, look, I'll play Ted, but I'm not going to do any homework. I'm not going to try to understand Ted Bundy. I'm not going to get into the mind of Ted Bundy. It's just one scene, and I'll say the lines for you if that's what you want. He said, that's fine, because Ted was a very charming person, and you're very charming. I don't want you to go dark anyway, so just come in and read the lines. And I played it, but I was so scared of that. But yeah, it was really good. It was called The Green River Killer. Yeah, I think it was called that, and well acted. It came off really well.
And also, I have a gift for you from the author.
Oh, right on.
Author. Yeah. I was helping her out, and this is one of the last copies.
Right on.
Yeah. Because she said you bought the first book from her yesterday.
Yeah.
And this is the second one. She personalized it to you.
Oh,
you want me to read the
I love
personalization
that.
to it?
Yeah.
It says, James, it was so lovely to meet you yesterday. Thank you for the photo with me and my sister. I really appreciate the advice you shared about being in a creative field. It was so inspiring to meet you. Such a positive person like you. Wishing you many blessings. Keep imagining.
Hell yeah.
Oh
So
my
here you go.
gosh, that's wonderful. That's so great.
Free books.
All right, we have time for one more question. Sorry you have to follow that, but
Yeah, what did you bring for me?
I'll bring all your gifts up here.
But was there ever a part or a scene that you were told to play that you went, this will work better if I do this? And did they ever take your suggestion and it went into print?
Oh yeah. I mean, what I said was in Joss's control. How I said it was kind of in mine. And as long as it works, as long as it's interesting, they'll pretty much let you do it because it's moving fast. And I learned this. It's like how do you say this? Like whether you're painting or whether you're acting or whatever you're doing creatively, if you find the love, you'll find what I call the vein of gold. Whether that's love denied or love expressed or wherever the love is, if you can find that, it starts to pop. So I was on Buffy. I was trying not to be killed off, right? Like I knew that I was designed to die, and I was like, I don't want them to do that. They're paying me more money than I've ever, So, and I was like, okay, well, where's the love? Where's the love? Oh, it's Drusilla. He's in love with Drusilla, obviously. But the thing is that they were setting the character up because the idea was that Buffy and Angel would sleep together. Angel would go evil, and as his first act of evil, he would kill Spike, thereby proving himself to be the biggest badass because Spike was the biggest badass. And he would take up with Drusilla to break Buffy's heart. So there were these scenes that were written, and I could tell they were written to set that up so that people, Drusilla's laying down, and she's like, I can see the sun and the stars. And he's like, there's a ceiling there, love. and I could tell that the writing was trying to separate those two characters, you know, to give Angel a way in. And he was, so basically Spike is making fun of Drusilla for being insane. And I was like, no, you know what? I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to let them do that to me. I'm going to play it as if he is totally in love with her, you know. No, love, there's a ceiling there. He loves the fact that she's crazy. It's great. So, and that happened in many different ways. And I learned that as long as it was very important to know your lines really well for first rehearsal so that you can give a first rehearsal that everyone goes, oh, that was so interesting. Yeah, do that. And before they know what's happening, you just kind of steered it over a different way. And I did that like all the time.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
They always say don't meet your heroes, but I'm really glad I met you.
Now, thank you so much. You, this is actually up here.